Okay. Yes. Got it on. There you go. No, I agree. Adam. Valerie.
20 years. It's supposed to look at every so many years now.
Who was Sam? People from Valerie.
I'm not going to bang gavel.
Just let somebody know.
Make this quick, right?
How are you? Let's call the meeting to order. Let the minutes show that Adam McCormick is absent. Everyone else is here. And we stand up and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lee, do you have any changes or additions to our agenda?
No additions. You'll see a few items have been withdrawn, but that's it. It's no change.
So we got number 11 withdrawn.
Yes.
Item number 12 and item number 16.
Yes, sir.
Can I get approval of the prior minutes from the last meeting?
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second.
And can I get approval of the agenda tonight?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that puts us into our consent agenda. Procedures, will you run through that for us, please?
Yeah, I will. So item 1, the parks. All the parks, 3 on here, the parks, the public services team has gone out, done inspections. With the exception of item 1, those phases you see on here will be reduced to 0. The lift station, the maintenance for the lift station will be shown for $92,750 in that first phase. Item 4, item 5, and item 6, and 7, those are all the standard 15% increases. They will come at item 7. The developer is going to request a reduction in the next month or so because they're done with that, so they'll request an inspection. But those are the only changes or only things with those items.
Okay, but item 2 is Parks Phase 2. Item 3 was Parks Phase 3. Item 4 was Summerlin Phase 1. And all these were subdivision bond extensions.
Yes.
And Summerlin Phase 5. And the reserve at Commerce Chapel.
Yes.
And then the last one was the villas at Honey Run Springs. We're going to vote on all those together. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we vote on the first 7 items.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. We have a public hearing for, how do you say that, Red Construction? Red Construction? Which is asking for the City of White House for annexation for their property. Oh. You can hear?
Not very well, but...
Okay. I'm trying. Okay.
Thank you.
So, we have one person who wants to speak. Ms. Linda, would like to speak?
Yes,
State your name and address, please.
I would like to Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Linda Four, and I live at 112 Montalina Drive. I would like to request that you put off deciding anything about this until every one of you have had an opportunity to read the zoning appeals minutes from December of 22 on this piece of property. There's a lot of information in there that you need to know before you even discuss it. And I would really appreciate you would put that off until you have had time to do that.
The zoning appeals are talking about Sumner.
Yeah, I was at that meeting.
Okay.
I was at that meeting.
Because I know there was.
Sumner County, yes.
Yeah.
Sumner County?
All right.
Yeah, I've worked closely with the county. I don't know if you're ready for me to go into it, but this is being brought to us as part of his due diligence. However, if you look at the zoning that's around it, it's all residential, which it creates spot zoning. So if you read my findings of fact, it's just not in compliance with the zoning around it. So if you can see my recommendation of denial, as it's just not consistent with our comprehensive plan.
I also had, I was on the Sumner County Planning Commission and also had a little bit of involvement with the BZA when that was coming in front of the county. I think that was the first time it's actually been in front of the BZA in Sumner County. So this has been an ongoing issue with that piece of property for a long time. And I totally agree, we don't need to take this into the city.
Any more discussion?
I would make a recommendation to provide a negative recommendation to the mayor and board of aldermen on this item.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is denied. We're going to close that public hearing, I guess. We'll open a public hearing. No one signed up to speak, so we're going to close that public hearing. And we're going to we have a request from staff for recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to review the zoning ordinance on impact fees.
I'll let the city manager take this.
Yes, sir, if you don't mind, the impact fees have been modified a couple of times over the years. Mainly, it was just to look at when we were going through recession, if we should lower the percentage of the impact fee, not actually addressing what the net per cost would be for each of the areas of concern we're talking about: roads, parks, police, and fire impact fees. But we haven't never discussed the idea of should we increase it. So since 1995, a study was done by the city to look at should we have impact fees, and yes, they determined that there should be. And I'll let Jason Roan kind of get into a little bit about how those type of studies work. But the bottom line is we've never addressed it. So when we looked at what the cost when it was implemented in January of 1996 at today's dollar was basically 100% increase since then. So we looked at possibly raising it 100%, and that was seemed what I was getting an indication from the new board mayor alderman that maybe that's the direction we ought to go. But then it looks like maybe we should even go higher, because truly when you look at, and I've given you like a 10-year study of how much impact fees have come in with the amount of growth. I mean, there's hardly even enough to do a small road widening, even over the whole period of time. And I'm not talking about once a year. I'm talking about all that money over 10 years would barely make what it would cost today to do just a road widening. So in a very small section of area of road. So tripling it probably is certainly in the realm of possibilities amongst the board. Obviously, this board would only be making a recommendation to board mayor alderman to proceed with increases or not, no increases. But that's basically what I think we should do is it's definitely increased the fees to whatever it is that you guys think we should increase them. And, to help us bring enough money, I mean, a fire truck, just a few years ago, we bought one, only cost us $480,000. Now the chief says pretty much to duplicate that fire truck today is $1 million. It takes 2 years to get one. So that's the kind of cost. To do a road widening, we looked at, going out the bid for, widening, North Palmer's Chapel, a little small section of it from Tyree down to the creek, where the Greenway crosses there. We were budgeting about $250,000, came in at over $500,000. So we just are not bringing in enough impact fee money to help us compensate for these roads, and not enough businesses to offset the other costs that we have for roads. So that would be a recommendation. Jason, can you talk a little bit about the index of table, how they come to those numbers?
The one I know most about are like the road impact fees, so I'll use that more of an example because I'm not an expert on the other services that the city offers. But in general, most of those studies they break down costs on one half that the city intends to have in the upcoming years, and then they correlate that to some common factor. So if you and that is a generic statement for the different services, but to use a road impact fee as an example, they break it down into a simpler term of like a single family residence, and that's the common unit of measure. You have other commercial developments that are on there and everything, but it ultimately gets broken down into how much cost is associated with the different developments that come here on your roads. So the common factor is some unit of measure. Then you compare that to how much money you plan to spend, and that's where it gets really or highly variable on each one of those services. But for the roads, you look at what you expect to spend for road improvements, and then you distribute it across some common factor. So if it's a certain number of houses, they're going to pay X number of dollars. And that should equate to a budget line item for the following year. Should related to you should get so much capital improvements that come out of X number of houses. So that's the very quick summary of how those numbers are calculated.
So they use basically vehicle counts for what's expected from a single family home is where you start, and then they look at all the different types of businesses that we have listed in our table 8.051, which is this notice page 8 of 16 of the actual ordinance. I think that y'all have that.
Right.
It comes out with, and they're basically going to look at it based on 100,000 square feet when it comes into businesses and churches and schools, that type of thing, and then they come up with their one-way ADT, and that's the number that you calculate with the net cost, and that comes up with your impact fee unit cost. So right now, our net cost BMT is $80, and we were proposing $160, but after talking with some of our board members, it would be better probably to go to $240 instead of $80. Triple the cost, and even then, it's
Basically,
still
what we're working on is 1996 numbers.
1996
Yeah.
numbers, that's correct.
We reduced it during the recession because,
Right.
nobody was getting any work.
Talking with
growth.
Jason today, he said that even in 1996, that probably was at the lower end of
Lower
the
end,
number
yeah.
where it probably should have been, or could have been.
And all we're doing tonight is voting to send this proposal to the Mayor and Board of Mayor. We're not setting fees, we're not
No.
doing anything with the dollar amount. We're letting the Board of Mayor and Alderman do that.
No, the only ones that can do that is Board Mayor Alderman.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that can set fees for any of the things that we do in the city.
So all we're doing is passing the ruling that, yes, we need to take a look at this and study it and have an increase.
And like I said, we did the same thing. We followed the same process when we changed the percentage of it. Because the impact fee is located in the zoning ordinance. And the zoning ordinance is covered by the municipal code, so it's the municipal code that has to be affected by the Board of Mayor Alderman. They're the only ones that can change the code.
Because when I was looking at numbers, since '96, houses have gone up 200%
Yes.
on average median house.
Good.
And we haven't looked at this since '96, so.
Right, it's a small percentage of what, a lot cost is today too. A lot cost here probably, in that time, probably was $10,000. Now they're about $75,000, $85,000 to get a lot in the subdivision.
If you can find one for that.
if you can find them.
Yeah. So,
Has anyone, worked up for the, I mean, it's probably easy to do, I didn't do it, but, what, 2,000 square foot house, what would be the total impact fee on it? Anybody know?
what's our average?
When you look at this chart, it's,
I didn't hear the question.
Say somebody, under the, raising it by 100%, what would the total impact fee be on a 2,000 square foot house?
Well,
it's not by square footage, it's by single family dwelling, so right now it's about $1,200, and that includes all four fees, all four impacts together. So if you double, it's gonna go to $2,400, if you triple, it's gonna go to $3,600.
Do we know what communities around us are doing? I mean, we don't wanna get, uncompetitive at all.
Jason, I mean, you've got more experience than I do in that area, and see just,
I think Springfield just raised theirs. What else? I think we're pretty low. We've been pretty low since 1996.
I know we've been low. I know they need to be raised, and again, we don't have the authority to do it, but these questions are, we don't want to get them up so high that we run people other places.
I mean, I get that too, but we don't want them so low that the taxpayers are paying the burden for these new developments.
I agree.
I mean, I think the developer can bear the burden.
Well,
So if you're
when
looking
the
at,
developer bears the burden, it kind of flows downhill
It goes
to
downhill.
the buyer.
yeah.
That's okay too.
I mean, I've looked at a lot of these, and I don't have any specifics on those. What I can say is they range from nothing to some that, if you look at the ones I'm familiar with, 8 to 10 times the amount that we set at
Okay.
today, before any changes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of range on what they are.
Right.
And I can tell you from having friendships with developers, it does affect their decisions.
Sure does.
But that's very, very hard to quantify. But the side that I always discuss with them is some of the most desirable places.
Have the highest speed.
Yes, that's right. So it's a tough situation. You can affect it. The more you increase those, you can expect some unquantified effects on your potential developers.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you're going to get rid of it altogether unless you're making drastic changes.
Right.
And just to help you, Tim, on this, would be that the ordinance is set up that the developer comes in and makes a decision. Do they want to go with what our established fees are, or do they want to do their own study and come back and compare to ours and then offer a different fee if they would like to?
Yeah.
And then, of course, then the BZA has the ability to hear the case in a due process situation, determine whether or not they're going to allow them to use their fee or to use our fee. But they have that right. They have addressed that in the front end. Hey, I'm okay with your fees. And I can tell you, see this over all the years. I don't remember any of the planners coming to me and saying, a developer wants to do their own study because they think our fees are too high. Not had that at all in 11 years. So that kind of tells me that we're probably okay or low in our fees. And maybe if we go up 3 times, maybe then we'll start getting a few challenges, but my guess is probably not likely.
So the recommendation we're gonna make, does that include the amount of the fee, or
No.
just that we're gonna raise it?
That you're okay with us looking, the board mayor alderman looking at raising the fees?
Yeah.
and Jason just said, it seems like the more desirable communities have, the higher impact.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
That's
The
how,
higher
that
the
should
fee
be
is, the
more
more expensive
desirable.
the house is gonna be to carry it through.
Yeah, but if it was $3,600 and a $360,000 house, it'd only be 1%. You think it that way?
Yeah.
What's the average house right now? 4? Right around
Probably.
4?
Yeah, we're collecting the same fee we were collecting when it was 200,000.
Yeah. We've been the bargain basement for a long time.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? If not, can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve item 9.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Recommendation is to move on to the Board of Mayor Alderman. Item number 10, staff request approval to amend the planning commission bylaws and rules of procedure. Seegers?
This is just taking the word regional out, planning commission, we moved to a municipal planning commission last year, and so this is just getting our bylaws in line with that, taking the word regional out.
How did we move to municipal?
We went through a state process, and just about every city around did the same thing, so.
And all the times it was regional, we never used it except for
Maybe one.
the school.
Yeah.
And it really was just wasn't effective then. Any discussion? Can I get a motion to approve or deny?
Motion to approve item 10.
Second.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Number 11 was withdrawn, number 12 was withdrawn. Item 13.
Item
Highland
13.
Park.
Sorry. At your request, I put the minutes of the site plan approval and the preliminary plat from November 9th, 2020. This is just the final plat request for those for that Highland Park behind Crooks.
I was sorry for that, but I had to play on words, I know, because you explained why it was listed final plat, but I guess I always look at plat as being the division of land that shows setbacks, shows buildings, et cetera, et cetera. And what we did here, we just have lots, and we have nothing drawn on those lots, and I think of this as being more of a boundary survey, and I will certainly stand corrected, if someone thinks differently. But I see this more or less as a boundary survey rather than a plat. I think a plat, as the next item we're going to look at, number 14, that is in Sage Farms. I look at that as a plat. I look at this as a boundary survey.
I mean, I know it's titled plat, but I agree with Martha. There's no information on it really. There's a lot.
I guess that's just the way I thought for 48 years, and I've been on here 8 years, and I don't believe I've ever seen anything come in here just exactly like this. I'm not saying it's entirely wrong.
I think one thing I know we were discussing, like when you get like the parks, when they come in, or a final master development plan, that's a plan that they have lots and subdivisions. This is so number 3 would be where the amenities, and we already approved the site plan, so I don't know if that is the distinction, the fact that we approved the site plan. And this is just the plat. It has the easements. It has the public infrastructure that's going to be recorded as well. From your engineering ears, does that sound right?
What do you say as an engineer?
I get your point but I think that's because we know how much stuff is going on this property. I think it has all the requirements of our regulation to go through. But the point is, there are a lot of units that are there, but I think it looks this way probably because.
I guess I want to see those units on there. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Well, that is not a requirement that they show those, I guess is what I'm saying. This is what they need to divide the property, and they're gonna sell it. So it doesn't matter if there's 1 unit on there or 500. It's got the information that they need for the road and the separate tracks.
I'm gonna disagree with you. We're voting on a final plat with so many units, and we don't have a plat showing those units. I'm not for that. When a final plat comes in front of us, I do have a little bit of experience of being on the planning commission. When a final plat comes in front of us, it needs to be a final plat. We need to see what's going to be on that property. We need to have all the signatures from everybody on that plat for it to be a final plat. I'm going to make a motion that we defer this until we get that.
Okay.
And I second.
Okay. We can. Okay. Well, I will ask this question. I know in the times that I've been here, we hadn't had signatures until we reviewed the plat. We hadn't had signatures, and that was, I mean, I know we can change, things are to be changed, but that's not really that's not the process that we had done, but I'm open to.
If that's not the process that we're doing, then we need to change that. When we get these final plats, it needs to be a final plat. It needs to have all the signatures, everything needs to be done before we make the decision to approve that final plat.
And I'm not speaking for him, but I've been where, in Robinson County, this is not Robinson County, I understand where I am tonight. I'm pretty old, but I know where I'm sitting, in the city of White House. But it puts, Mr. Clark, I told you this before, it puts a lot of burden on you when all of this is already done. And if you get this with all the signatures on it, all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed, then you and I don't see how you all get done what you get done. I commend you because you do a good job. But when it comes in here, we more or less are voting on not a lot of information because we've seen nobody has approved this. And I know before it's recorded, you're going to see those signatures on it. But I think it'll be less burden on your office and on the city of White House if we start requiring these signatures to be on this.
That's
That's just my opinion.
I mean, I'm okay with whatever the planning commission.
I don't disagree with wanting more information on here, but if I understand a plat right, it's just a legal subdivision of the property. I mean, I'm not sure the intent is to have a ton of detail on it. It's just showing you where the property lines are.
And I
mean, more information's good, but.
Yeah, and the state just made it to where I could approve a 5-lot subdivision, plat without it, I think coming from understanding that law.
So why are we calling it a final plat?
Because they got the preliminary plat approved in 2020, and so they're ready to record this plat. We approved the site plan, and the preliminary.
But they're getting our approval before they get the signatures.
Well, as planning secretary, I sign off, they need the planning commission, approval, but as planning secretary, I sign off on it after we have done our due diligence, making sure, every, fire hydrant and, making sure the sewer lines are in the right place. So that's just, I think it's
Will they have a final site plan that they have to submit?
they already got the site
That's
plan
done.
approved.
So you do have that, all that information, we're on.
Site plan, staff has looked at the site plan.
But we're saying this is the final plat. I think that's where the other gentleman and I are in agreement, and maybe nobody else is, but we're just good people. I mean, he made a motion, I second it, because I feel like this is, that word plat, this is not a plat. The next item, that is a plat, in my definition.
The big difference I will say with that other one is single-family homes though. This is multifamily.
But that's even more important that we get a lot of people that on those lots.
So question, the lots that are in the front, that front on Lone Oak, those are individual homes?
They're not part of this.
That's not
this
part of it,
project.
okay. But then section 1 that we're looking at here on this final plat, that's where the department's gonna be?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And it will remain one parcel.
Yeah.
okay. So that's why it's not divided. 'cause
And
it's
number
gonna
3 will be
apartment.
one parcel, that'll
I
be.
think that had to be divided. I
Oh, no.
said that the buildings need to be on it.
I think maybe,
I'm not
it
certain
would
that
probably be
that's what
helpful if they
I feel.
would have had the final master development plan, he said
I've not seen anything on any of this.
He would need to see this, and it had come before.
Yeah, I didn't submit it because it's already been approved, and, they already have their, land disturbance, I think.
Well, then why can't we change this to boundary survey?
I mean, it's not required.
I mean, I think the boundaries are gonna be the same though, right?
I know.
Yeah, I was just basing on what was required in our sub-reg.
Well, I second the motion, and I've said all I'm gonna say, because that's just my opinion, it doesn't have to be anybody else's.
Jason Stevens. And the difference is, one's worked for Sumner County, one's worked for Robertson County, and everybody's used to seeing what they see. But does this or does this not meet our regulations?
This meets our regulations.
Okay, so that's really the only question we really have, does it meet it or not meet it? Now, after this meeting, we can change the rules and say, we're gonna require you to have the signatures and everything that everybody would like. But for this one, this individual, since it's the first one we've seen like this, and it meets all our rules and our regulations, that's really what we're you know, I hate to say it, but the other is more of a preference. If this meets our rules.
I mean, with the two-lot
My
Still not flat.
I know, my preference would like to see everything on there.
Still not flat.
I'll tell you, with a two-lot subdivision, we charge $100 fee, it's a minimum re-subdivision fee. The state changed it to where the planning secretary could do 5 lots to where it didn't even have to come to planning commission. But we get those, I got 3 on my desk right now, and we do our due diligence. We first require White House Utility to sign off on it. Once White House Utility signs off on it, Public Services, they look at making sure all of the, everything is required. And we'll go back and forth several times, even though the signature's not on here, we'll go back several times before we record that plat, making sure everything in our sub-regs are showing, so.
But this board has voted to approve it before those signatures are ever on it, correct?
Correct, but I'm not signing off on it until everything on the, plat's required.
Mr. Chair,
And picking back on what Cliff said about as long as the regulations are met, then it's required to be approved. I think you can defer if you want to talk about it more, but as far as the regulations as they are, and if those are satisfied, then you can't deny it without a reason, and the only reason would be at this point a material change in what has been presented.
The next one we can change,
I think it's a plat.
if we change our regulations.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have to amend the regulations first before, to grant yourself the legal authority to deny it on that. But still, as long as they remain the same, then.
But CJ just said that what the state has ruled and the changes is that he didn't have to even bring this.
You don't have to get a final, it has to get planning commission's final plat.
Less than 5.
Yeah, the subdividing land, this is the final plat approval, so you guys would have had to see it. Should have been more clear in saying that, but
Okay.
this is just kind of explaining the re-subdivision and how we double check everything.
So the plat has been approved with all the stuff on it.
The preliminary plat, the
If
site
it's
plan has
approved
been
by this body in
approved.
the past.
Yes.
We've seen it with everything on it.
elevations,
The road cutting through,
yeah, all that's been.
I've not seen any of it.
Yeah, it was, I think it was before you.
I'm new on the board,
Yeah,
I apologize.
Yeah.
I've been on the Sumner County
Yeah.
Planning Commission for 16 years. We have ways of doing things,
Yeah.
and unless all those items are met, we didn't approve anything.
Yeah, and I think that would have been helpful to you if we would have had
Yes.
more information
I agree.
in the packet with you on this particular issue, because
Yeah.
of it does look, I mean, if you look at just this alone,
It's-
it
yeah.
looks like, what? It's just.
Yeah, and that's what you see, but here it says,
Yeah.
That what we're approving.
244.
Townhomes and apartments, and I see none of that, so,
Right, yeah, like I said.
and no signatures.
Construction have you got to the construction documents yet?
I think the phase, 2 is in, I think the construction plans are approved in phase 2,
Yeah.
closer to the tennis court.
Yeah, it's gone a lot further, I think, Mike, than you've been, had the ability to see, but it would have been helpful probably.
Yeah,
Right.
it'd
The
been
final
helpful if
master
we
with
could have
their
brought
stuff's
that
gonna show
up. Seen.
that it's moved a lot
Yeah,
further.
I'm not on the network
Yeah.
to fully.
So we have a motion and a second to defer.
Motion withdrawn.
Motion withdrawn. Do you have can I get another motion? To approve or deny?
I make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All
No.
opposed?
No,
No.
3-2, approved.
Ready? Item 4.
It is, it's just on the site plan.
Acceptance of temporary plat for subdivision, Sage Farm subdivision. Request final plat approved for 144 single-family homes, 58 townhomes, 40 apartment units. Property is referenced in Robertson County map 106, part of parcel 193 and 196. Property is zoned NCR PUD, Neighborhood Center Residential Plan Unit Development, located on Sage Road. Owner is Stagecoach Developers, LLC.
This is a final plat approval, of what you just read. This does show the lot, and the single family lot, and it does have the detail. We approved the final master development plan. Developers attempt to record this, showing the two divisions on the plat.
So see, is this page 2 or 3? I think it's a page 1 and a page 3.
Yeah, I think we just printed that out,
Okay.
to show you the detail on that
Okay.
page of that plat.
And this is final approval?
Final master
Recommended.
development plans approved, this is final plat approved.
Where's the assisted living on that map?
It's to that grayed out portion above that purple, below that purple.
Is that a part of their project?
It's not part of it.
So the developer sold, is not, no, sorry. But it's part of the FDMP, the final master development plan.
So we're approving the whole thing or just phase 2?
Is phase 1.
Any discussion?
Is it still left of the purple?
North of the purple, top,
That's not T Ornamental?
That was to the left of the purple.
where that cul-de-sac is, sorry, left of the purple. Right, over,
This-
down, right there, uh-huh,
All of this right here?
yes.
Okay, thank you, sorry. I'm math challenged.
Kind of quiet after all the discussion on the last one.
We got our plat.
We need to qualify.
If no one has anything to add, can we get a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve State Farm, final plat for phase 1.
Can we get a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. 711 White House. Cemetery.
So this is, at, DC Court, Highway 76, there on the west side of town. We have, done extensive, I mean, we may have been at this 8 months maybe, if not a year, kind of looking at this site plan, looking at the egress, ingress of the site. But we have gone through and engineers they've met, requirements that we've, requested of them.
And it does meet all of our regs. Mr. Carter does meet all of our regs.
Yes, ma'am.
In here, the cemetery is right in the corner.
Yes, and there's a easement surrounding that. Yeah, to the west, we can't see it on this slide, but, it is, shown on here.
Since we're gonna encompass that cemetery, are we gonna do anything for the cemetery? Fence it or anything like that?
Yeah, we will require, fence it.
Fence it? I mean,
Or
something.
kind of decorated, anything you
Decorative or
require as
that's
a plan
good.
commission.
Yeah, 'cause I'm sure the Kellys, when they buried all their family there, they weren't expecting to be a 7-Eleven next door.
No, we don't have it in place yet. We were too busy making sure ingress and egress were, sufficient.
That was one of the issues we had. They had it too close to the DC road, so we were trying to get them to go all the way down to where the daycare is and connect over there, but they did agree to go all the way around the cemetery, so we needed to move the entry exit way, further away from DC, and Union, kind of splits the difference.
That's already had T-Dot approval and everything like that?
Yeah, we've had discussions with T-Dot, obviously the staff over there can let you know about on some of those conversations, but I know there have been several conversations with T-Dot, making sure that they had the right turn lanes coming in, enough stacking room, even extended the left turn lane past the daycare to give a couple of cars to be able to stack, to be able to turn left into the daycare. So that was part of the plan, that T-Dot required.
Okay. And then, we stipulate what type of fence or stuff there at the,
Yeah, you can stipulate
I mean,
whatever, we require.
black. What do you think? Something decorative that looks good?
That and make sure that it's maintained. I know the one that out by my neighborhood on McCurdy, they put the fence up, but they don't always maintain it. The grass is 3 feet tall, so I mean, make sure they keep it looking
I'm
nice.
not sure they have a right to
I don't
go on
think you
that
can-
property to do do that anyway.
Yeah,
They have to provide, the access simply
Screening,
to
but.
go across.
They can't be required.
Fencing, but they don't, we can't ask them to maintain it.
They can be required to provide ingress, egress to it, fence it, but they can't be required to maintain it.
Yeah.
And then somewhere they said, some improvements to DC court over there,
Yeah, it was the,
but I didn't see any, improvements.
yeah.
They're in
If it
this
was,
plan,
if
but
it
they
was,
were-
it was so small I couldn't see it.
They're significant, I guess. It's nothing beyond the limits of this project and how the project affected it. But they did quite a bit of lane addition, length, so they're adding length to the turn lanes that are there.
Are we having to do anything to the asphalt? Is it already heavy traffic asphalt that's there?
It is,
Okay.
so they will be matching that.
Okay, they're matching that, but it's already, the DC core is already
We did
that way.
pavement, yeah. We did that a few years ago.
And what are the improvements again on 76?
There's the biggest thing that they're doing, and they're still resolving that side with us, but they've come through, they've got everything in here, but they're clarifying some of their details for construction plans. But they're adding, turn lanes that Jerry was mentioning, end up going down past the daycare center. I don't really have all of those details because they were referencing them to be drawn by another engineering firm that had a traffic engineer that was doing a traffic study and also producing some of those. So we're yet to see actual plans for this section. There's some of it that you can discern from these plans, but there's more to follow.
Yeah, the few things that we've asked is really negligible compared to what we asked Loves to do. Loves to put in traffic signalization, build two roads, add another traffic signalization. So I think what TDOT is asking is very reasonable from
What they're having to do?
from them, what to do from the traffic that we bring.
There's eight gas pumps on 76, and then what is this behind it? Is that,
Diesel on them?
Those are the diesel
that for
pumps.
semis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like the one that goes one.
Yeah.
That was kind of their typical thing right now, I believe.
But no parking or anything for semis?
We asked for not to allow any traffic, and not to allow any parking for semis.
Go up and get
We
out of
just-
there, right?
Yeah, go up and go.
So do we feel like there's not enough changes still left to be done to go ahead and
Yeah.
approve?
Good detail.
Yeah, they were responsive to all comments. They were,
So, Steve, is mine correct? If I make a motion to approve item 15 to include,
decorative fence.
a decorative fence to surround the cemetery?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Item 17, 4-5 Partners, Love Lane Industrial, Thomas and Hutton, request site plan approval for 305,500 gross square feet distribution facility development. Property is referenced as Rockland County Tax Map 106. Light Industrial is located on Lowe's Lane and Harper's Way. Owner Brian and Lindsay Harper.
So this is not related at all to the last meeting we had, but I noticed this, the same,
It's the same zoning, it's got the overlay.
right,
It's,
but it
on Harper's Way in the back
That's
corner.
totally different location.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
but is it the same people build it?
Mhm.
That's what
Yeah,
I,
Same-
Core
same-
five, yeah.
same people?
okay.
Core five, Ms. Ward, she spoke to us, in that rezoning request, from her company. So it's Core five, what they proposed on the, rezoning,
But not connected to the other one that was on the other side, Tim. that
Okay.
we had.
the White House.
That was A.L. Nyer, and I believe they backed out of that project already, from what I'm hearing, so.
Really?
That's what I've been told. We'll wait to see what they do. Right now, I've been told that it's going out.
Interesting.
There's
Discussion?
another investment group looking at this other property, so we're building the road anyway. That was the stipulation we had.
Right.
Now they had to build that road, but, we're looking at other
It's
ways
gonna be
to
tough
get
to
that
back
done.
there, it's gonna be tough to, sometimes if you put that in. That's fine. Any discussion?
Mr. Carter?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know you've gone over this and you find nothing irregular about it? You find it in compliance?
I find this in compliance, yes, ma'am.
Well, I'll make a motion, we approve it, Tim.
And they worked out their fence, we worked out their fence last time.
Yeah, they're, on the interstate, yeah. But we can be more specific and include it, because that was a rezoning and that wasn't a site plan requirement, at the
Well,
time.
we still have to put fence up otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any road improvements that these guys are making, or on Union or Lowe's?
They're,
Not on site.
yeah, not off-site.
Not off-site.
They weren't that, yeah.
Well, Mr. Harper had already,
Cause that road,
the road
they
into
put
it.
that road in, it's nice road.
Okay.
So we have a motion,
Second.
got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. That was our last item for the night. We are adjourned.
Robertson County, I come to the compliance with the grant.